But let me
No.
tell you something that people that are actually under 40, they probably do want, is the Hunger Games spinoff. That's right.
No.
The Hunger Games spinoff came out. A prequel. It's called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. All right. It's based on the novel by Suzanne Collins. Francis Lawrence, who directed everyone but the first one, is directing this as well. Of course, it concluded in 2015. It stars Tom Blythe as an 18-year-old Cornelia Snow. We have Rachel Zegler in here too as District 12 tribute, and it's is it a musical? That's what I just don't get.
No.
It sounds like a musical.
Songs, but it's not a
It
musical.
sounds because
There
everything
are
I was reading
songs,
about
but
it
it's not musical based.
comes out November
No.
17th, by the way, because they kept talking about the songs, about how Suzanne is big into country music and that she's like trying to really have that influence this movie. And they're talking about the end song, how good it is, and the middle song,
It is
how good it is.
not
And I'm
a
like,
musical. She just sings like in the one of the Hunger Games where Rue had that song that she would whistle for the birds and stuff, and so that became like the song. You know what I mean? Of
but what
everything. Like, I mean,
classifies a
this
musical?
actually
How
has
many
words.
songs until it becomes a musical? That's my question.
If the cast,
Thinking
is
about
fighting
this.
for their lives and run around and start doing a glee dance, then it's a musical.
Here is the difference between a movie with songs and a musical. The songs have to be essential to the plot and have story involved in them. So if they're telling story through the songs, then it's a musical. If the songs are just part of it, like the person sings a song, then it's not a musical. Like personally, I wouldn't. A Star Is Born is not a musical. It's a movie with songs in it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, I just kept reading the music. I just got sidetracked a little bit. But the trailer itself looks great. If you ask me, like I watched the trailer and it actually looks pretty freaking great. Like the fact that they're kind of bringing. I mean, okay, so across the board,
Jason
the action's great.
Schwartzman
Yeah,
playing Stanley
Stanley
Tucci's
Tucci.
ancestor. He's playing his like grandfather or whatever. So
yeah, great.
fantastic casting. I never would have, if you told me cast Stanley Tucci's grandfather, I wouldn't have thought Jason Schwartzman right off the bat. Perfect.
Never.
Even his voice
10
sounds
out
like
of
him.
10. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So he's having
And
a
how
huge
about
year.
how about Angry Elf Targaryen as the creator of
yeah.
You have Peter Dinklage as the original game
Angry
maker.
Elf Targaryen, she says.
Isn't he a Targaryen?
Think of a better
Yeah, he
person
is.
to play the original game maker than Peter Dinklage. Like
Me
the
He's
casting of
awesome.
filming
When they
is
showed him, I
perfect.
was like, what?
Dominated
Even
that
if
trailer.
you've never seen a single Hunger Game, even if you have no idea what the fuck is going on with Hunger Games, this is a movie you can watch and enjoy.
I have to very quickly say that I said Angry Elf because he played like a character in the movie Elf, and Will Ferrell, he came running at him across the table and he's like, ooh, he's an angry elf. I love little people. I'm sorry, that probably sounded like it was an insult, and if it did, I apologize. That's not what I meant. It was just because of the movie Elf, which is my favorite movie, like my favorite Christmas movie of all time, but my favorite movie, and so that's why I said Angry Elf Targaryen. I realized I could have come off weird, and I just wanted to apologize. Continue, Rachel.
But yes, it's potentially offending little people.
I'm very sorry. That's not what I meant. He runs to the table and goes, "Ooh, he's an angry elf." It's my favorite. It's just very funny. I'm sorry.
Hopefully you're ahead.
This film,
right.
honestly, anyone can
62
enjoy
degrees.
Anyone can enjoy this film because either you've seen the Hunger Games and you know what's going on and you're like super into the background and the lore and you're excited to see the background of President Snow and like his original roots and why he's so bitter and the origin of the Mockingjay. So there's a lot there for people, and there's a lot of references in the trailer and in the book that only people who are super into the Hunger Games will notice. Or you haven't seen the Hunger Games, and this is just a really interesting movie about a dystopian society that has children fight to the death. And you don't need to know anything about Katniss or anything about that 4 movies at all to enjoy this.
We don't need to worry about Jennifer Lawrence for this one. You know?
No J-Law.
But
Rachel Zegler is a great upcoming actress.
It was actually a pretty awesome trailer, I think, though, for this. And I was shocked by it, too. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Because I wasn't that thrilled about this movie. I was like, okay, a prequel to this. I saw this. But, yeah, it actually made me excited about it. Lexi, how about you down there? What do you think? Are you excited about this? Does this trailer amp you up at all? Or are you kind of just like, this is not my bread and butter?
The trailer did look good. I'm not going to say it didn't. But am I the only person that gets Harry Potter vibes from Hunger Games?
No, I do not at all.
I like
Just
get
you.
serious Harry Potter vibes from those.
There was a lot of
movies.
comparison to Harry Potter and the Hunger Games when it was originally coming out, just because it was the next big YA book, but that was really the end of it. It targeted somewhat of a similar demographic, and that was really kind of the only similarities.
I definitely in this trailer.
I beg to differ.
I felt like I got Harry Potter vibes for sure in this trailer. Maybe it's just me, but
There's no magic in this movie.
Well, it's
not
like
about
the
magic.
franchise.
It's about the
you know.
visual style, the visual cues, the way it
Not
looks,
at all.
the way it just kind of feels to me. I don't know. It feels Harry Potterish.
I think you could more directly compare it to like Divergent.
Oh, I could see that
Not at all.
Divergent series.
I don't see it Divergent at all because this is too fancy, whereas Divergent has that like clean.
Well, it's only
modern,
fancy in the
like-
capital. If you
I feel
watch
like it could even
films-
look like a Wes Anderson movie if you really if he
3
did a movie
points
like
for
that, I feel like
Mockingjay
it's
House.
I see the West Anderson a lot more.
the Jason Schwartzman of it all makes you feel Wes Anderson.
Like,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It brings it in.
Made a movie like this, I feel like it would be his kind of canvas, honestly.
I love the like vintage vibes. So it's like it's like you can see the vintage vibes of the Capitol before you get the Capitol of the future and of the Hunger Games era.
I'm kind of bummed. I wanted like a young Woody Harrelson and a young Effie Trinket. Like I wanted those two to be
This
like when
is
they were tributes. It's before that. I
15
know.
years before Haymitch's games.
Yeah, I know, but that's my point. But I mean, I just really because we're attached to them already. Like I'm like hesitant to like care about new people.
I mean, if
and new
this
tributes.
does well, they might give us that. They might give us Haymitch's
They
games.
might lead to that.
So many people are so
Can you
interested
see
in
Effie
seeing
Trinket
the
in the fucking games. I would love to see a backstory of her because she's a lunatic. Like I think that would be so fun. But I'm excited for it. Honestly, it looks really well.
No, this is more than 15 years. This is like because Haymitch was
64 years.
He was like in his
before-
70s or 80s, and now he's like
was in
18.
the
You know.
50th Hunger
So that's-
Games.
you're talking about
this was
Cornelius
40.
Snow.
This is 40 years before Haymitch's Hunger
Yeah.
Games.
Right, Brian, you're
Yeah.
talking about Snow, who was Donald Sutherland. Who, by the way, the very last line of the trailer was his voice.
Yeah, it was
Did you
his
notice that?
audio pulled from the film.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Hell
very
yeah.
last line of the trailer was his voice.
I love Donald Sutherland.
This is 65 years or 64 years before
Before Katniss's
Katniss.
games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Fucking Katniss.
But I just like I'm very disappointed in myself because I didn't realize that she had written other books, like she had written prequel books. Because I
This
read
one came out in 2020.
I know either.
So
Oh.
Songbirds and Snakes just came out.
because I read
So she's
all
like,
the original
it's
ones.
time.
I was obsessed with them. They're such good books. But like I didn't even know this existed. When they said based on Susan Collins' novel, I was like, why am I sleeping on this? I should have read this fucking book.
It's like the second it came out, they optioned it for a film.
Of course.
100%. I understand
shouldn't
that
have
too. They
waited
probably
so
just
long.
jump on that.
Right.
Well, at
I
least
was really
at
into
least
that
she.
era when they started coming out with these like teen dystopian films or whatever. But like I
Yeah.
got into Maze Runner and I got into
Maze Runner.
like I liked the Divergent films and I liked that stuff, but I never got into the Hunger Games ones. They weren't fun.
I was late on the train.
Shailene Woodley, friend of the show.
I got into it like 2-3 years ago.
I actually know her.
Oh,
So
really?
I actually knew her. So
I read the books and then I watched the movies as soon as it's like one of the only things that I really saw in the movie theater because I was excited about it because I love the book so much. I was in a book club and the first book, the original book came up, The Hunger Games. And so we read it. I read it in like 2 days, like ridiculously fast. And like I would go to pee and take it with me. Like how long are you actually sitting on the toilet when you pee? 3 seconds? I was like, I could read 1 sentence if I'm peeing. Like that's how much I loved it. I did not want to put it down. And then we didn't have to read the rest of the books for the book club, but I did anyway in between the other books I was reading for the book club because I loved it so much.
This is a franchise you could easily make into a series.
Yeah.
You could take this and cover the different Hunger Games throughout the years. You can cover the first all the way through the 75th Hunger Games.
100%.
And you have
easily.
so much content. I would much rather see them take this and make it into a series than Twilight or Harry Potter.
I don't know. I feel like the movies are so dramatic and there's so much pyrotechnics and stunts and like all this fucking crazy shit that they create
Let's put
inside
this shit
the
on
dome.
HBO.
If you did it on a show, it would be like it would be
Max.
Game of Thrones style. You know what I mean?
Hell
like
yeah.
it would be so expensive. It'd be hard for somebody to.
Well, the first 10 Hunger Games, so like the first Hunger Game up until this Hunger Game, all take place in a more of like a football stadium type situation.
yeah.
So the first
Not in
few
a dome?
seasons of the show, Not in a large dome. It's more like a stadium. So you have people sitting in the audience watching it rather than watching
the
it
Coliseum.
from home.
Oh, they don't watch it at home. Okay.
So
I have to read
yeah,
this
and
book
they kind of
online.
give you a glimpse. They kind of give you a glimpse of it in the trailer. You can see a little bit of the shape of the stadium.
Well, I
That's
saw
the
them
whole
running. I didn't realize. I was like, I thought they
thing.
were like running like into the dome or something. I was like, this seems weird because it
That's
did look
the
like a
whole
football field.
stadium.
That was so bizarre.
Whew.
So like
Interesting.
So people
The
died
Hunger Games
very fast.
after the 10th Hunger Game is when they start to change it. Yeah, and it was very
Okay.
fast. It was with a couple hours rather than days or weeks.
Days,
Days.
Which you get in the
yeah.
modern Hunger Games.
Becomes more of a spectacle then.
Yeah.
So this will probably be more of that lore than what we were used to. But it's
Yeah.
still, the action looks great though. I mean, what they showed, they didn't show a lot, but they showed, they actually showed much more than I thought they were going to show. So I don't know. I mean, yes, it could be a huge franchise. She's only got one book written, you're saying, Rachel, so far? That's it for this prequel area?
Yeah, this was a one-off book just to talk about
So-
presidents now.
Okay, so hopefully she's got some more brewing, because I'm guessing the way this world works, they're going to be wanting more after this, everybody. I'm
Well,
pretty
they'll
sure.
just start popping off screenplays if she doesn't come up with another book quick enough.
It's very
Right.
true. But you know how that works out? A lot of times it doesn't work for the best. It does not.